The AEW women's division still sucks. The more people finally admit this, the more we'll get to a point where maybe it gets better. Here's the thing, it's not that AEW doesn't have talented women in their women's division, because they genuinely do. They have a lot of talented women in their division. Like Athena, she's technically still with AEW, even though she primarily wrestles Ring of Honor. They have her. Willow Nightingale has been getting better. They have Toni Storm. They have Thunder Rosa, who I would assume is coming back at some point actively. But as I'm saying, they have a lot of talented women in their women's division. The thing is, AEW is not utilized correctly as they should be. Just the fact that they're booking for the AEW women's division is just absolutely horrendous. Let's be honest, we've seen where the AEW can put on generally good AEW women's matches. Like, we've seen where Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker have torn the house down in some of these matches. However, they are not giving the same energy the past couple months with their women's division. And there are a lot of reasons and factors that go into why this AEW women's division is still not good going into 2023. Number one, there's a lack of interest when it comes to the AEW women's division at this point. When I mean by lack of interest, there's not any storylines, there's not any feuds that make you want to watch some of these AEW women's matches. There's not none of that going on right now with AEW. Like, we do that a lot with WWE, but for the most part, we've seen in the past where they genuinely try to focus on our women's division and give it a good feud. However, with AEW, we honestly don't get it a lot. A lot of AEW fans love to criticize WWE for the fact that they love focusing on storylines, they love focusing on feuds when it comes to all their matches. But here's the thing, when it comes to WWE, that is what draws people to a lot of their matches. That is what makes it interesting. With the AEW, they're not doing that. At WWE, we've seen that in the past where they can genuinely do that with a lot of their matches, specifically in the women's side. They've done that a lot. However, when it comes to AEW, they don't really do that much. Let's be honest, the last AEW women's match that genuinely had some good build to it was probably Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker. That was probably the last feud that had some interest, that had everybody wanted to watch it. But since then, there's not been a lot, and I'm being completely honest. Before I go any further, do not make it seem like I'm praising WWE women's division, because their women's division is absolutely terrible too. But for the most part, they're better than AEW, but not by a lot, really. If you really want a prime example of women's division that have been doing great the past couple weeks, look at NXT and look at Impact Wrestling. Two women's divisions right now that could be one of the best in the world right now. And yes, with NXT, that might be an unpopular opinion, but I truly believe that. Look at NXT women's division right now. Laya Valkyrie, Tiffany Stratton, Roxanne Perez, Blair Davenport, Corey Jade. Like I said, they have a lot of talented women than you realize. But Impact, that also goes for them too. They have Deonna Purrazzo, Trinity. Like I said, for the most part, they have a lot of talented women in their women's division as well. And the thing with Impact, they don't have a lot of interest as they used to years ago, if we're being honest. But with their women's matches, I always see for the most part on Twitter that they have a lot of hype to me. And the reason that they have a lot of hype to them because they genuinely always build their matches close to perfection, and they have reasons for people to watch it. With AEW, they don't have that same hype. They don't have that same build to it as Impact does. Like, let's be brutally honest right now. We're a couple weeks away from All In and All Out. We don't have a storyline for the AEW Women's World Champion. We don't have a storyline for the AEW TBS Women's Champion. We don't have a storyline for either of those titles right now. But here's the thing. They want us to make this women's division credible. They want us to watch the women's division. However, not having storylines for your two main women's champions is a huge, big problem. And these are your champions, and they aren't even featured on TV regularly. When was the last time Chris Statlander was featured on AEW Dynamite? When was the last time Toni Storm was featured on AEW TV and she was actually the main product? Like, let's be honest, with the Outcast, Toni Storm is not necessarily the main part of that, group. Let's be honest, it's Saraya. Saraya's trying to make herself be the main part of that group. And if it's not Saraya for the most part, it's Ruby Soho. And I really like Toni Storm, I really do. But the simple fact is, it's kind of the truth. And I'm sitting there talking about the women's division for both Impact and even NXT. And I forgot to mention Ring of Honor, how Athena and Willow Nightingale just had an absolute banger of a match at Ring of Honor's last pay-per-view. I forgot to mention them, but that's another example of another women's division that, for the most part, is thriving. It proves my point that AEW has the talent to book a good women's division. They have the talent to make this women's division interesting. The fact of the matter is, fan interest is low in the women's division, let's be honest. The bookers, and it seems like the production team, puts no effort into it. So it's really a mix of the fans and production from AEW, not making this women's division as credible as it should be and not making it interesting anymore. And maybe all this started when Jamie Hayter got hurt, because really, that's probably when it started. But then again, it was never in the best position in the first place, but now it's probably in the worst position it's been in a while now. Once again, as I state, let's not pretend this women's division doesn't have talent, because it does. But the management and whoever's producing this bull crap is not doing their job. They need to be fired, in my opinion. The whole production team in charge of that women's division needs to be fired. I'm being completely honest. I'm not going to say any names, but you're probably going to figure out who I'm talking about. The main person who they're focusing the AEW women's division around is not necessarily working. I'm going to be honest. It's not working. It's the person who I'm talking about is not necessarily all that talented. She's okay. I'm not going to call her outright terrible. I don't really call a lot of outright terrible, but she's not exactly, a person that should be centering a women's division around. And I'm just going to leave it at that. And I'm going to say there are a few stars who you can genuinely build this women's division around. Athena, Toni Storm, Jamie Hayter, Akira Shida. A lot of talented women more than her who you can build this women's division around. Thunder Rosa is another one, if I'm being honest. I know a lot of people don't necessarily like Thunder Rosa because of backstage stuff, but I'm going to continue to like Thunder Rosa because that's just who I am. Anyways, I've stated my grievance. I've stated my position on the whole thing. Let me know what you guys think about the whole women's division in 2023, specifically in AEW and where it's going. And let me know what you think the best women's division in wrestling is right now. Let me know in the comments down below. If you haven't yet, go and subscribe to my channel. Tap the bell icon for future wrestling content. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all that. As usual, will be down below in the description. And I will hope to see you guys in the next video. Peace out.